So I would say one of my very best friends that I met on the first day of kindergarten, her name is Sarah, and she became a nurse right after college. That was her original program of study. I was not. I went to college for something different, and I studied film and psychology, and I worked as an insurance claims adjuster, which I know sounds very random. But through that, I realized that I wanted to help people, just maybe not in that particular venue. And so in talking to her for years, she'd said, you should be a nurse, you should do this, you'd be great at it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do all that math and science. That's not really me. I'm more of a, I like to write, I like to speak. But finally one day it clicked and I thought, I'm going to try. And she kind of stood by me the whole way as a mentor and, modeled that path for me. And so when I was 28, I became a nurse. It was a long road of taking prerequisites at night after work because, like I said, first degree was not in science. And then, having to quit my job in order to go back to school. But it was very much worth it. So it seemed like a kind of random turn of events for me. But the more I look back on it, I realized that it was something that I was always meant to do and always suited for. I just didn't really get it until she presented it to me that way.
I guess that means it's never too late either.
Exactly, yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people think, oh, like I did, I don't do science. I don't have a degree in that. Maybe that's kind of outside of the realm of what you've done before, but there are so many things that go into making a good nurse, and it's not just academics. It's not just, one thing. So all those experiences that I had led me to being a nurse and shaped the way I practiced once I became a nurse. So yeah, never too late. Well, if it's okay, what it really makes me think about is once I started teaching nursing to nursing students, you don't really, when you're in it, you think about working as a nurse, you're doing hard work, you're just trying to, take care of your patients, get through it. You go back to school and think, I want to teach, but it doesn't really hit you how much of an impact you're making until, you see those students that you taught out in practice. And then for me, I see them come back and start teaching themselves. And so recently, I work with scheduling nursing students all over the Oklahoma City area and got to give an orientation or tour to one of the students that I had taught. And she's graduated and she's worked as a nurse and now she's furthering her education and she's teaching. And so, she didn't say that I was her sole inspiration for that, but you can see that long-term impact, that at the time you don't really notice it. But I've seen, as I see clinicals scheduled, I start to see more and more familiar names and I see people that I taught and that were in programs where I worked. And that's really, really impactful for me because it's not just one person that we get to influence, it's so many and hopefully the profession of nursing. So those things are really meaningful to me.
Full circle moment.
Yeah, well, and see people kind of, reach their goals and get to do things that maybe they never thought they wanted to do. They may not have thought, oh, being a nurse educator, that's a thing I can do, but it is. And, that really inspires me and makes me feel good about what I do and have done in the past.
You're trying to make buckets.
Well, honestly, I have worked as a nurse and then I've worked as a nurse educator. Currently, I'm working more in professional development. I'm working with nursing schools in order to help them get the clinical sites that they need and, working with our hospitals to be able to provide better clinical experiences for students. So I would say right now, and something that I've always thought from the very beginning of being a nurse, I want to elevate the profession. I want nurses to know how important they are and how much power they have, because a lot of times I don't think that's emphasized very much. And like I said before, when you're in the trenches and you're doing the work, you're not really thinking about that. But nurses have a lot of power and they have a lot to contribute. And I want to be a person that can model and also help other people, bring them up to where, they can connect with opportunities and they can develop professionally and we can make nursing, what it should be and how, respected that it should be, because hospitals don't run without nurses. Healthcare doesn't exist without nurses. And, but also research has a lot to do with nursing. Nurses produce a lot of that. Nurses are working in government. Nurses are doing a lot of really important things that we don't necessarily even think about. And so that's really my goal, I would say, is to connect people and then to try to elevate the profession and help younger nurses realize that potential.